There's no debt there, but you might say there's a credit, right? That my role in the past puts me in a position where I'm half responsible for that role into the future. But she also pays me. She tips me for the privilege of specifically my guidance. Because I'm going to, like, at one point she started to, like, back off from what we were talking about. Like, frankly, like someone who's been mistreated by men before would do. And she wasn't saying her piece. And I said, look, I'm not dismissing you, but these questions are real questions that need real answers. And so you don't have to ask them. But I'm going to tell you my perspective. And my perspective is I don't understand hero worship for these people who haven't done anything culturally relevant in 30 years. Neil Gaiman hasn't done anything culturally relevant that wasn't a children's movie for children or a book for children in 30 years, since the 90s. Why the hero worship? And then I love her. I love her to death, actually. Now, I wouldn't marry her, and I would probably not take a bullet for her. Maybe I would, because I don't want to be alive. But, like, for the romantic gesture, absolutely not. Um, I don't understand. I don't understand specifically him. And then she goes, it just, his being the way he is has just left me in a place where I don't even feel like I can read Douglas Adams. And I still like Douglas Adams. And it's like, what I said is, girl, your taste in literature is dated. Dated. Like 30 years old. Like older than you are. Which means that her literary references, her literary influences, and I don't mean the books that she reads to keep herself fresh and to keep herself interested in reading. I mean the people that got her interested in reading got interested in reading in the early 90s or the late 80s, and they just passed on the books that got them interested. And so she wasn't prepared to engage with that either. I'm like Douglas Adams is dated. And if you really look, and she's not ready for this. And I appreciate that, but she'll be at her own pace. She might be 50 years old when she figures out what I'm telling her. She might be 50 years old when she goes, "Oh my God, it's every decision that I made up until that moment that led me to that moment. And the only way that I'm going to stop walking into that same moment is to have a different response to it, is to make a different point at somewhere along that chain of causality." But I don't know what it is about you guys, but you're either not intelligent enough or you're just too afraid, too cowardly to even begin the chain of cause and effect. And see, the chain of cause and effect of your life, it really makes me think. I had a see I when I was in high school, but even younger, I always oriented myself toward wanting to have conversations with my grandfathers, because I wasn't allowed to hang out with my grandfathers, because my grandfathers were from the old school, where they wanted nothing to do with the grand boys. They wanted nothing to do with grandbabies. They were still young men. They were still in their 40s when I was a boy. They wanted nothing to do with the chitter chatter of a 9-year-old, is what I'm saying. And so if I wanted to spend time with my granddads, I either had to shut the fuck up for hours and hours and hours on end and just learn to listen to somebody who knows more about any subject than I do, which is a skill I learned and use to this day. There are experts in fields that I trust. I'll just, if you have a degree, I'll trust you outright that you know better what you're saying than I do. But I have questions, and I have deep probing questions. And so there's going to come a point where you're going to realize, oh, my bachelor's degree can't answer the questions that he has. He has a significantly higher level of understanding of the subject matter than I do with a bachelor's degree, and then you're going to shut me